So we're in Ensenada, Baja, Mexico, and behind me is a Class 7 truck that's powered exclusively by sPOD, belongs to my good friend here, Dan Chamlee, and we're going to take a look at what goes into an sPOD in a race truck. And we are inside the cabin of your truck. Walk me through what you got going on here. You got a lot going on.
So we got multiple GPSs, radio, engine display, and of course, everything runs through the sPODs. 2 Bantams, these are older, they've been in here for a number of years. I think they're at least 7 years old or something.
Yeah.
Zero problems with them, they've been so reliable. What I like about them is not having all the issues that we used to have back in the day with circuit breakers and switch failures. And we were constantly having circuit breakers or switches going bad and relays. And they kind of replace all of that, and they're so safe in terms of they give you ground fault protection, over amperage protection, and they tell you that something's wrong. The other thing that's nice is, like, our different fans are triggered by our ECU through the sPOD, so they go into the ground trigger inputs. Right. And yet I can see at a glance whether or not they're on, even though they were turned on by the ECU. The light lights up to tell me that that the fan is actually running, which is just awesome. I've got the app, and what I use the app for mostly is balancing my amperage, because you can look and see exactly how many amps of power is going through each individual circuit. Yeah. And so, when I want to decide, can I run 2 lights on this switch or 4 lights on this switch, I can just go into the app and look and see how much amperage is drawing and say, yeah, that's a safe amount for this circuit, and I can wire up 4 lights on there. And so on. A few of the items that we have run here that are very high amperage, like big light bars, big cooling fans, we do have the sPOD run a high amperage relay that runs that component, so we're not running the high amperage actually through the sPOD, but the sPOD is still what's controlling it.
Yep, that makes sense. Yep, we'd always recommend that. Yeah. And so walk me through kind of your ignition right here. So you have your ignition, once you turn that on, that's controlled through an input, that turns on all your sPODs. How works that for sPOD?
So this ignition switch has no power going through it. It's just a ground that goes through it to an input. So all it is a little tiny ground wire going through the switch, and you turn on the ignition switch and it turns on the ignition circuit as well as my auxiliary circuit, which is other items that I want to only work with the ignition on.
So your GPS, your auxiliary power,
GPS
radio.
runs through my radio circuit. No, I'm talking about things like, I don't want my horn to work when the ignition's off.
Right.
Little kids I've got 16 grandchildren. I don't want them to be able to use the horn unless I've got the ignition on.
Yeah.
My brake lights don't work unless the ignition's on. Things that would typically be in your normal car that run through, that are key-on components. I run those through the auxiliary circuit over here, but that's just jumped over. You turn on this switch and it sends a little ground trigger to the input and another little jumper over to the other one. You turn on this switch, both of those things come on automatically. It's so versatile. You can do so many different things with this. I haven't done the variable speed for the pumper. I talked about it, but we need a bigger pumper anyway, so we always want high speed.
Yeah,
but I know that I could program this to be low, to have variable speed on it, but I haven't done that yet. I try to keep this truck simple, and sPODs allow me to keep the electrical so much simpler. It's so much cleaner and simpler than it ever was trying to do it with switches and relays.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Circuit breakers.